Hey everyone, it's Wilson from Yes Insights, and in this video I'll be covering what is user retention, why is user retention important, and a bunch of user retention strategies that actually work that you can apply to your business, your company, or your startup. Again, you can check out yesinsights.com for the easiest ways to receive customer feedback across all different types of platforms. Well, let's get this thing started. So, what is the main problem nowadays, right? One of the main problems nowadays is that marketers and product managers and founders are too, how should I say it? They're too into the growth process where they only worry about user acquisition. So they only care about these lead magnets, how do I get more user sign up? But there's way more than that. Like user retention is one of the biggest things that you should be keeping in mind when it comes to growth, because it's something that contributes to the long term of your business, contributes directly to your customers' lifetime value, right? So there's just too many companies nowadays. They come out with these like ebooks, free ebooks, these really link baiting type of title blog posts, and they just try to capture too many lead magnets and try to get leads. But they don't convert to users. And even if you force them to convert to users without a good user retention strategy or without actually tweaking things, you won't be able to kind of keep them loyal for long, right? You want these customers to be your advocate and then refer their buddies to your platform or your product or service as well, right? Another problem is that companies, they just aren't speaking with their customers. They aren't listening to their customers and they aren't talking to them. Customer feedback is super important because that is what drives your business. Customers are the ones that are paying you. So you have to listen to what their concerns are, what features they want to build. Instead of guessing and building stuff that you feel that your users might like, you might as well ask them and listen to their feedback, right? That is super important. And that's something that all startups and businesses need to do in order to, grow a very big business. There isn't a successful entrepreneur that would tell you to not listen to your customers. They will always tell you listen to your customers, and because your customers are pretty much the ones that are paying you and they're driving your growth. So customers equal growth. Customer feedback, very important, and that equals growth, right? Loyal customers never come overnight. It takes a lot of time, and the user retention process takes a lot of tweaking. This starts with engaging with users and talking to your users. Remember, it all goes back to customer feedback. So why user retention? Why is this so important? According to a research report by HBR, increasing customer retention rates by 5% increases your profit by 25 to 95%. That is huge. So that means it costs a lot more to acquire a new customer than it does to retain one, right? So instead of spending all these money and calculating your user acquisition costs on like these advertising channels or these outbound sales channels, just being able to retain a user will save you a lot more money in the long run. And plus, they can refer more friends to your platform and product or service, and that's like a freebie right there. You don't even have to spend any acquisition costs. So it's super important to keep your user acquisition up. Happy customers most likely to stick around longer, and that also means that they're going to be spending more money with you. They're the ones that's going to be upgrading. They're the ones that's going to be buying and listening to your upsells. So user retention is super important. A retained happy customer is more likely to refer you to the friends, coworkers, which will lower your cost of growth, just like I mentioned at first, right? A happy customer, a loyal customer will always tell their friends about you and they'll be your advocate. A good user retention rate will also mean that your customer lifetime value will be much higher as well. So with good user retention, you have more and more profit coming in. These are the people that will be probably paying for your annual plans. They'll probably be paying for all the upgrades. They're the ones that will be around, and that means that your profit will continue to soar and your revenue will continue to soar as well, right? So one of the first things you need to start doing is in order to increase your user retention rate is simply, like I said, listening to your customers. Listening to your customers is a requirement for building the ultimate product. If you're trying to build a product that everyone loves, you're trying to build a product that your users will love and will come back and use again and again and again and be an advocate for, be the ambassador for, you need to be able to listen to their needs. Whether they're complimenting you or they're being frustrated at a feature that isn't working. It doesn't matter what it is, you still have to listen to them. So a really great example of this is one of this famous food blogger Her name is Lacey, and the food blog is called A Sweet Pea Chef. Her story goes that she tried writing a lot of blog posts related to food, and she was getting subscribers here and there, but they weren't really engaged people, or they would never view more than one page of her content. So these what happens is that the bounce rate goes up. Users don't come back, and you don't really build a brand, and you don't make any money, right? So what she did was, instead of guessing what her customers want, she actually surveyed them, and that is super important. She sent out a survey asking all her email subscribers, what content would you like to read? What content should I be writing? What do you find useful? How do you think about the last content that I published? And all these simple one-click survey questions contributed to her getting a better analysis of what her audience really wants to see her write. And then she was able to put out more like ebooks and like these recipe books based on what the audience said. So this is super important, and customer feedback goes hand to hand when it comes to content marketing. And so anytime you're producing content, you want to listen to what your customers like and what they don't like, right? Another great example is Neil Patel's blog, right? So Quick Sprouts is his main blog. I think his other blog is neilpatel.com. But we're talking about Quick Sprouts right here. Basically, they're a blog and a kind of like an academy site that teaches you everything about content marketing, startups, conversion rate optimization. It's an excellent blog. Check it out, quicksprouts.com. But Neil Patel wanted to turn this Quick Sprouts into a SaaS tool. So what did he do? He actually surveyed a bunch of his audience and asked them, would you pay for a social media product, a social media software? And people said no. They're not interested in growing the social media account. But then when he asked them, will you be interested in paying for a product that helps you improve your content marketing? Everyone said yes. So from there on, he was able to find a product that he knew that there was already going to be buyers, or at least interested buyers, and that it was people that's going to be using his product. That is huge, right? So before he even built it, he already had this in his mind. And that all goes back to listening to your customers. And how did Neil Patel do this? He just did it with a survey. Everyone that subscribed to his list, boom, it will automatically send out a survey with the email, and he will be able to get the feedback. So there's two ways of surveying. There's one, you can create a traditional survey, and then second, you can create a one-click survey. So here's a little quick picture of the difference between a one-click survey versus a traditional survey. So at the heart of Yes Insights, one of our goals is to be able to make surveys as easy as possible for people to answer, so people don't even have to think, and it reduces the barrier of being able to send out a survey and getting customer feedback. And basically with a one-click survey, as you can tell right here on the left side, you just pretty much embed your survey into your email platform, maybe your intercoms or your support widget, maybe your blog article. It can go anywhere. You can embed it on any platform, any web, within your Gmail, within MailChimp, ConvertKit, Infusionsoft, whatever you're using, HubSpot, anything. And it blends in directly with your email, so it matches all the font and everything, and it requires no additional code. So you just create a survey, copy, paste in the snippet, and you're good to go. You send out the survey, and boom, this is exactly how somebody would see it, with just the option. They can click on it, and the response will be logged, it will be tracked. So it's very simple, and it usually has a lot higher response rate, usually anywhere from 4 to 6 x more response rate compared to a traditional survey. And the traditional survey is usually those long form surveys where, oh, will you take a moment to rate my business, and you click on it, it goes to some other page, and you have to fill out some long ass form. It's something like that, right? It takes up a lot of time, it takes up a lot of effort, and people, they get tired, they get annoyed, or they just get tired of seeing those emails, and they just don't do it, right? Whereas one-click surveys, you get responses right away, because they don't have to think, and they can just click on the response. So it's super effective, and it increases response rate. You can create one easily if you just go set up an account at yesinsights.com. So the second thing you can do to increase your user retention is by engaging with your users, and this is very important. Intercom, any type of these software companies talk about engaging with your users very often, especially SaaS companies, right? So you have to chat with your users as often as possible. It's important to check in with your customers throughout their entire life cycle as a customer. But it's even more important to start engaging with them from the very beginning. So if you offer like a free trial, it's very important to start engaging throughout the trial and try to get them to convert into a paying customer. Then try to nurture them and keep engaging with them, keep checking in with them, and turning them into an advocate and long-term customer that will refer to friends as well, right? So here's an example of an email that I took a screenshot of Perfect Audience. So I signed up for Perfect Audience, running some retargeting, and this guy named Ryan from the customer success team reached out immediately. This could have been an automated email, but the fact that he personalized everything, he mentioned his name, he mentioned who he was, made me feel connected to the company. And then he also said, I noticed that you recently signed up for your free trial, and I was checking if you have any question regarding your campaign so far. So he's checking in. If there's any question, I can shoot him questions right away. And then he's like, you know what, I'm here to help. So he's always offering help. Great job, Ryan. Great way of engaging with your customers. Really good start. The second thing is make sure you're asking questions, right? So that's part of engaging with users. So checking in like how Ryan is doing works, but sometimes you won't even receive a response. Like for example, for me, I just viewed that email, but there was nothing for me to say, so I didn't respond back. So if you want to achieve the best results, you should add a combination of things that includes introducing yourself, maybe showing them more materials, or as well as what I'm trying to talk about in this specific slide is asking questions. So on the right side, you will see the onboarding, not the onboarding email. This is the email that we send on, I think it's the 6th day of our free trial. So we have a 7-day free trial at Yes Insights. And it says, hey, name, so hey, Joseph or whatever. And then, hope you're enjoying your trial. I just wanted to check in to see how you're doing. Here's a quick question for you. If you send surveys to your customers, are you happy with the number of customers who responded? This is super important because we ask this question because there's a lot of people that don't like using survey products like SurveyMonkey, etc., because they don't get enough response rates. So we want to know if they're actually getting it or if they're happy with the product, right? So we put 3 responses for them. Very happy, it exceeded my expectations, or it's okay, it matched what I expected, or not happy at all, right? So, and then we say thanks in advance for the feedback. If you need any help at all, just reply to this email and we'll get back to you in a jiffy. P.S. You're on day 4 of your 7-day trial, so not day 6, it was day 4, correct? And this is sent out by Lenny, so my co-founder at Yes Insights. We have 3 goals when we're setting up a survey like this. The first one is that we want to generate a conversation, right? So when you ask a question, somebody's more likely to respond than if you're just saying, hey, I'm here to introduce myself and I'm here to see if you have any questions. That's just offering help, right? Second thing we want is that we want actionable feedback. So each time they click on a response, we're able to log the results and we can look at the overall data to see what is going on, how many people like a product, how can we tweak it, And then the third thing is that we want to remind the user that Yes Insight actually exists. So our brand is still here, and that we want to let them know that they signed up for it, and if they haven't been using it, go back into your dashboard, start checking things, and start creating surveys. The next thing that you can do to engage with more of your users is by providing more educational materials. So, for example, right here, this one is definitely on the 6th day, right? So we say, hi, Joseph. I hope things are going well so far. I know you must be thinking about what question to ask your customers and how to ask them so that you can get productive answers, right? We thought of a lot about that too. So we put some of our thoughts in this helpful blog post, and then we link a blog post, and then we say, this should give you some great ideas to get started. Cheers, by Lenny. Right? This is important because we're sending them more and more educational material. So we're educating them, we're building trust with them, and then they'll go to our blog, they'll read our article, and hopefully they'll read our other articles, and they'll get more and more ideas. That way they understand our products and more. Now, when you're providing more educational materials, this does not necessarily have to be a blog post like how we did it. It could be anything. It could be like an ebook that you want to offer them, a white paper, maybe even a case study or more use cases. You just want to make sure you send it, or it could be a list of relevant blog posts. On the right side, you see here's an email I received from Zapier, from Wade, who's the founder of Zapier, and he goes like, hey, I know you signed up. I think this was maybe 1 week after I signed up. He's like, hey, I'm here to help. And once you get, you might be having a hard time setting up your first Zap. So this is a triggered email because I did not set up any Zap after I signed up for the account, and it was over a week. So I guess they realized that, they tagged me as an inactive user, and they decided to send this email out, which is super smart, right? You can do the same with surveys. You can go through Intercom, or you can, whatever you're using, like Infusionsoft, and you figure out exactly which one of your users aren't active, which one of them aren't reading your emails, or they're not using your platform, and you tag them, and then you send them a survey asking them why they haven't do it. So this could all be done with Zapier through Yes Insights. But anyway, so back to the weight thing, he shows me a few examples. He said, hey, save Typeform entries to a Google spreadsheet, create Trello card from Evernote. And what was the result? I actually clicked on the use this for the create Trello cards for Evernote. So it worked. This email worked, and it got me going back to the Zapier platform, which increases their user engagement. One more thing, the next thing is that you have to make sure that you announce new feature updates. This is super important for user retention, right? Most users don't notice when your product development actually slows down. So you and your product team haven't been putting out new stuff, or you've been working on a big release. Most of them, they just won't know. But if things go quiet for too long, they'll be easily distracted when a competitor releases a new feature, and that can slow down your growth, right? Or they can switch platforms, and that's not what you want. You want to retain a customer. You want to increase user retention, not churn, right? You don't want to churn. So a good thing to do this is by just maybe writing a blog post. For example, in my blog post, I mentioned that Status Page did a very good job with announcing new features, right? They keep their whole email newsletter updated, they keep their subscribers updated, and they keep the audience updated, right? You can probably do a Slack if you have a Slack community channel. Like Buffer has a very famous Slack community channel. Or you can do like community outreach, right? Like you can go on, like let's say for Status Page, they're developer tool. They can go in developer forums, they can go on Stack Overflow, and they can start posting, right? And then of course email outreach to your existing customers using maybe a newsletter, a personal reminder kind of thing, like how Ryan did it with Perfect Audience. Or you can do something unique if it was a very requested feature from your audience. What you can do is that you can email everyone that requested that feature and be like, hey, we just released what you want. Surprise them, right? Make them happy. Right. Another thing that you can do to increase user retention is by offering a discount code or referral codes, or just simply running a giveaway, right? So giveaways like gamification, and that works really well. So a really great example of this that I pasted in right here is how Bearmetrics actually increased $14,000 in extra revenue for upselling the product, right? And basically, Bearmetrics has been trying to upsell these annual packages to their users for years, and things just weren't working, right? Like people just didn't want to buy, etc. So they tried something new. They tried doing like a discount code. It says, "Hey Sally, we've been testing out some new pricing models for Bearmetrics, and instead of our usual 2 months free for switching to annual pricing, we're offering 3 months free for for free to a subset of customers. Will you be interested in that? Reply and let me know, and I can add the right coupon to your account and make the switch to annual for you. Thanks so much for being a part of Bearmetrics. It means a lot to have folks like you on board." Josh Pickford. Very genius technique. This engages with the user, lets them know that, hey, we're still thinking of you, and we're only releasing this special offer of 3 months for free to a subset of customers. Notice he's a subset of customers. That is like super huge, because it makes the user feel special, the customer feel special now, right? Now they're a loyal person. Like, would you be interested in this? And instead of 2 months, you get 3 months. And result, they have 14,000 in extra revenue, plus a bunch of upsells. So it's a double win. One more thing that you want to do to increase user retention is by setting a really good foundation. So you want to make a killer first impression. Explain how your app works. Explain the story behind your startup. Explain the story behind your idea. Or maybe what you can do is you can provide them with a resource on how to get started. Let them know that you're here to help, like how Ryan did. Ryan told me that he was there to help me out, if I need help setting up with my campaigns, and that they can reach out anytime if I ever need help. So he was offering help. That is super important, right? And engaging in an early conversation or sending like a warm greeting is very helpful. So this thing that you're seeing right here on the screen is our welcome email. We're 100% transparent about our onboarding process. So we're here to help as well, right? So my co-founder Lenny will say that I'm Lenny. one of the co-founders of Yes Insights, and I want to thank you for signing up. We started Yes Insights with one simple idea: to make surveys quick and painless for your customers to answer. You'll be delighted at the number of responses you get on your first survey. If you have a second, we'd love to know about the single biggest question that keeps you awake at night. Then we show them a question, and then we start asking them, right? So we ask them what this is being set up by a one-click survey, and then we say thanks. If you have any questions about getting started, just hit reply to this email. We'll point you to the right direction free of charge. So we're offering help, we're engaging with the customers, we're creating conversation, we eat our own dog food because we set up a one-click survey because we know these receive a lot of responses, and we're getting user feedback, and we're getting actionable feedback, and putting them on a really great journey, and hopefully they become a lifetime customer, right? And what are the results? Is that everyone that opens this email, believe it or not, 50% of them actually actually clicks on the response. So they either respond to email or they click on the response. And that is super important because that shows that one-click surveys convert, and that's a very important metrics to us, is that our product is actually useful. So, thank you for watching. Make sure you check out yesinsight.com if you're looking for creating either one-click surveys, NPS surveys, or just getting feedbacks from the user in general, because we're also coming out with a website widget. It starts at $20 a month for the personal plan. It's the simplest way for you to receive customer feedback across all platforms. So you can embed this in Infusionsoft, ConvertKit, MailChimp, Aweber, whatever you use, GetResponse, Autopilot, set up your Drip email campaigns. We work within Drip, so if you're offering a free educational course using Drip or Lead Pages, boom, we integrate. So we have all the integration set. We have the one-click survey, like I mentioned, NPS survey, survey web widget. It natively embeds on all platforms. You don't need any type of coding, so you can set things up within like 5 minutes after creating an account, and it does not require any additional code. So you don't have to hit up your developer and be like, hey, help me install this, help me figure this out. We don't need any of that. If you need support, boom, we're always here, 24 hours 7. This allows you to gain actionable feedback, increase your user engagement, increase your user retention, and it increases trial to pay conversion. So if you're a SaaS company, this is super important. Again, my name is Wilson Pang. You can follow me on Twitter at WilsonPang8. Make sure you check out Yes Insights. So it's www.yesinsights.com, and I hope you enjoyed this video about how to increase your user retention. Hope you learned something from it, and hope you will have more strategies in the future for increasing user retention and engagement. Thank you.